All right, this is going to be a little bit different type deal for me. Uh, have you ever took and after your parents passed away, wanted to go back and ask them a question, or your grandparents, about just something that happened, or who you were kin to, or where they lived, or how they lived, or just a lot of information that I would love to know about my grandparents and my parents when they were younger. So I decided to do this and sort of have something for my kids to where they could go back and see and hear some of the things they probably didn't know about. I'm gonna give y'all the title of this thing is, we all know where we start, but we don't know when and where we're gonna wind up. So that's sort of the way this video is gonna be. And I may bore y'all to death, but I think it'll get more interesting as it goes along. My parents were family. I had an older sister that lived 2 weeks and passed away, and they weren't supposed to have any more kids. So they adopted my brother, and he had polio, and my mom was a nurse that treated polio patients. And so I adopted him, and well, 4 or 5 years later, here I popped up. My mom always told me I was a joker from the first day I was born. And then 2 years later, I can remember when they adopted my sister. So there were 3 kids, and my dad was a welder, ran a welding job, really good at what he did. And I have a real good background. My great grandfather and my grandfather built their first welding machine out of an airplane generator. And we're in the business 50, 60 years apiece. And they taught my dad, and he was in it 50, 60 years. And they taught me. So I had 150 years experience starting off. That makes a lot of difference. But anyway, as a little background, I'm going to go back to the earliest thing I can remember. And when I was a kid. And it's funny what you do remember the oddball thing. One of them was I was sitting on top of an old chest type deep freeze on a screened in back porch, throat hurting, just had my tonsils out, and my folks were real big in youth stuff in the church, and they had a bunch of kids over there. And I remember sitting on that deep freeze thinking, sure wouldn't like to be outside, but I'd be in trouble if I go out there. And in that same deal here, they had another get together a little bit later on, and one of the kids was chasing me. I ran around the front of the truck, out the front of the house, and my dad's welding truck was sitting there, and it had a flatbed on it with a rail around it, and I smacked that rail running just full blast, knocked me cold in the wedge. Back out the day, but it's funny that you remember that. And then the other thing, and this is gonna sound stupid, you're gonna laugh about this, but I remember what it felt like. They had ducks and chickens and stuff. What it felt like to step on duck poop barefooted and it squeeze up between your toes. That's a feeling you don't forget. I'll tell one little story here and then get off this thing. But my my folks raised chickens and ducks and all kind of stuff, and it was my job to go out there and feed them. I was about hmm, probably 4 years old, and they had a big white rooster out there that would flog you in a heartbeat. My dad kept getting on me, and finally got me a little baseball bat. And he said, "Just hit him, run him off." Well, every morning I go out there and feed them chickens, and me and that rooster would have war. I'd feed on him, he'd flog me. There ain't no telling how many times I went to the house and had spur marks on my leg. But we decided we were going to move, so they had to get rid of all that stuff. And back in those days, they still had butcher shops, and I can remember there's a chain going in it. They had all them chickens and ducks hung upside down on that they were going to butcher them. I remember that rooster going through that flap inside that butcher shop and thinking, won't never block me again. And, but I always think about a little bit of something just to get this thing started. Hope I don't bore y'all to death. And we're gonna try it and see how it works. Thank y'all.